From a 260 kilo back squat to a 475 double Ironman distance triathlon, it's fair to say that my training goals have evolved somewhat as the years have progressed. Training for me began as a way of strength and conditioning for rugby, but however, in my last year at school, I had 3 concussions in 4 weeks, which was no more rugby. As I lived through the Z's era, I then quickly found sort of bodybuilding, lifting, aesthetics as my next logical step, along with a lot of modern warfare too. This then developed into a love for powerlifting specifically, and over the next 6 years I competed all over the world, met a wide variety of people, and really enjoyed doing so. However, in 2017 I put down my last deadlift in the last competition that I did, and I just felt a bit... In today's video, I'm going to break down how my training goals have evolved with powerlifting still at the core of it, and I'm in no way bashing the sport or bashing strength training or bashing barbells in any way, but more just wanting to reflect on the mental and physical benefits that I found from strength training and how they really nicely complement all of the mental and physical benefits that I found from endurance training at the other end of the spectrum. If you're new around here, the best examples of how I've sort of balanced this spectrum is with things such as a 500-pound back squat and a sub 5-minute mile in the same day, a 1,200-pound powerlifting total the same day as a sub 12-hour Ironman, and even a 600-kilogram powerlifting total the same day as a sub 6-hour 60-kilometer ultramarathon. All very, very challenging, all opposing ends of the spectrum, but all very valuable and enjoyable for me personally, and most importantly, didn't leave me with that feeling of So in today's video, I'm going to break down all of the benefits that I've experienced personally from moving from a one-dimensional way of training to a multi-dimensional way of training. I found a huge amount of value from training this way, so let's break it down. So the first thing to consider, I think, is the most important one when it comes to any training, which is the question of how much are you enjoying it? What is it giving you versus what is it taking away? And for me, I just found that all of the things that I really, really loved about it for the first couple of years, I suddenly wasn't experiencing at the same level when I was living and working in London. Initially, it gave me a fantastic way of experiencing linear progression from a squat, bench, and deadlift point of view, which is a fantastic way of experiencing quick wins on a day-to-day basis, which are often quite hard to come by. As the years developed and I got stronger and stronger, those didn't quite become as linear, and you had to fight for 6 months at a time to put 2.5 to 5 kilos on the barbell. But that's where the going gets tough, and you either get going or you leave it behind for triathlon, apparently. What I really enjoyed was the sort of longer training sessions, the real intense focus that went into big sets, and the community of people around that in certain gyms all over the UK that I was fortunate enough to train at. However, as I entered the working world of corporate London, suddenly it became more difficult to allocate that time justifiably to that same sort of experience. So I started doing more training on my own, I felt a bit isolated, and the community aspect was lost, something that I'd really enjoyed previously. This then meant that ultimately it became very metric driven, it didn't become about enjoyment, it purely became about weight on the barbell and nothing else. If you're watching this and you're someone that's gone quite hard at something for a prolonged period of time, you may well have experienced a bit of a sensation of burnout, or asking the question of, am I still enjoying this, or does this still feel the same way it did when I started? That pure enjoyment, childish playfulness that I'm kind of looking for with my own training, I'd fallen out of touch with that a little bit. So the first reason why I left powerlifting behind for triathlon and other endurance activities was because I just lost the enjoyment a little bit. So the second thing to consider is your identity, and I don't know about you, but I'm somebody that kind of goes all or nothing on whatever I'm committed to, and that can often lead to it becoming a little bit of an identity, personality for me. This left me a little bit sucked into quite a binary way of thinking. It meant that I only felt like there were certain gyms I could train at, there were only certain things that I could be doing outside of my training, even though ultimately I wasn't trying to set any records, I wasn't trying to win any medals really, I was just trying to be as strong as I could. So in the pursuit of feeling aligned to a community and with a strong sense of purpose and identity, I actually lost both of those things in the pursuit of more weight on the bar. I think the big buzzword here is individuality, and how that can often get lost when you go all in on this sort of identity-focused pursuit. Whether it's being a high rocks athlete these days, whether it's being a hybrid athlete these days, whether it's being a triathlete, a runner, whatever it is, we probably all have a bit of an image of somebody in our minds when we think of any of those individual things. And that kind of guides us towards that thing, losing sight of the individual at the heart of it. I'm not saying that we're all equally at risk to that. I appreciate that I'm quite an intense bloke and I go all in on things, and that makes me more susceptible to this trap, but you might well be the same. So just something to be conscious of if you feel like there's any alignment there. The third thing to consider is closed-mindedness. I had these preconceived ideas about what I could be doing or should be doing based on the person that I believe myself to be, which was a powerlifter. Therefore, things like cardiovascular work, strongman movements, even tempo reps from a bodybuilding hypertrophy point of view, I thought my way of existing was the best, which actually closes me off to experiences, people, enjoyment, skill acquisition, all of the things that go into self-development. Because at the end of the day, if you are not training to be the best person in the world at something, for medals, for victory, for records, then remember that no one really cares. And if you don't care, then what the fuck are you doing? And I hope at this point you've picked up on the fact that a lot of the stuff I'm referring to isn't specific to powerlifters, it's specific to one-dimensional ways of thinking and training, and kind of brings to life the box mentality that a lot of sporting disciplines have at a recreational level. Runners v triathletes, powerlifters v bodybuilders, crossfitters v strongmen. We're right, no you're wrong, no you're wrong. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong because everybody's doing the thing that is enjoyable and important to them. At the end of the day, we're all looking for ways to escape from day-to-day lives, to get some time to ourselves, to feel like we've had a win and to move things forwards. So the closed-mindedness of my identity as a powerlifter prevented me from accessing any of these new things that I have since accessed and have massively improved my life. Key detail, without having to abandon heavy weights on a barbell. The fourth thing to consider is quite powerlifting specific, I must admit, and that is the requirement for specialist equipment towards the end of my powerlifting journey. Again, looking back, a lot of this wasn't in any way, shape or form a requirement, but it was something that I felt I wanted access to or needed access to so that I belonged and was really living up to the powerlifter within, meaning that I was traveling from Balham to Alperton, which if you're not from London will mean nothing to you. If you are from London, might well mean nothing to you. But it was about 1 hour and 10 each way, 4 nights a week. So I was traveling 2 hours and 20 minutes total to spend about 1.5 hours to 2 hours at the gym, often having meal deals from the Sainsbury's in Wembley for my dinner because it was about half midnight. So when I first discovered aerobic training and when I first started dabbling in the world of triathlon and moving things in that direction, the ease of access to be able to just lace up a pair of running trainers and just start running out the door was amazing to me. It was a really nice counterbalance to that inaccessibility that I created in my own head, powerlifting in London. I lost the ability to appreciate my training because it became like a bit of a chore. Whereas now, because I kind of spread myself across a variety of disciplines, I feel like I get a good amount of exposure to lots of different things. Some of them are a little bit more challenging than others to make work. Some of them are a little bit easier. But what I really now appreciate is just going into a gym, looking at a barbell, loading it up and just ripping it off the floor, knowing that that strength is still there. I've worked hard to keep it, but tapping into that part of me that loves heavy lifting, whilst also tapping into the part of me intrinsically that gets so much value from being outside on a bike at a zone 2 pace with a couple of my friends. The combination of commitment plus variety has made me a much better athlete, a much better person, and the absolute key was letting go of my ego to be able to pursue that. You might have taken nothing from that video. You might feel that you're really at one with your training focus and there's nothing else that you want to try, that you're not in any way, shape or form struggling with your sort of training demand. But I know there are a lot of people that are. It's something I still wrestle with and I still juggle in terms of my goals because I just want to get the best out of what's out there and enjoy the fact that I'm very fortunate to have a body that I can use, a little bit injured at the moment, granted, to meet new people, explore new places, do fun things, and go back to that adult playfulness that I referred to earlier. So I think from an identity point of view, my identity is now that of a hybrid athlete, which is vague, grey area, and kind of means nothing these days. But that means that I can be much happier, much more content, and much more flexible day to day, where enjoyment becomes the number one priority, because I am not the best at anything in the world, and I'm not really even competitive, other than the fact that I like seeing progress, I like experiencing wins, and I like feeling that I'm making headway in my own life to become a better, happier version of myself. I think it's important just to reflect on why we do the things that we do, what purpose we do them for, and to make sure that we continually reflect on ourselves as we evolve, as we get older, as we move around the world, as we meet new people, as we hear new podcasts, whatever it might be, and we don't get fixed in believing that we are person A when in fact we might have evolved into person B. Because the evolution of ourselves as individuals is a fantastic thing and it's very much a part of life, but if we lose sight of that, then we can actually become a barrier to our own happiness, our own success, and our own progress in many ways. Something I've fallen into the trap of in the past, something I'll probably fall into the trap of again, but if I'm ever feeling like I'm doing that, maybe I'll come back and watch this video. So what I would love from you is if you can share any insights that any of you have got on similar experiences down below. Don't forget to like the video, comment with your thoughts, feelings, and or suggestions down below, and ding the little bell whilst you're there so you don't miss any sort of future content as I go back towards triathlon in 2025. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.